And then he drops out after a catastrophic debate performance. And they set Kamala Harris up to fail. That was a 3-month campaign, and she was supposed to introduce herself to the American people. No wonder people were Googling, did Joe Biden drop out? And so...
No. You're saying 3 months wasn't long enough?
I mean...
It was too long.
It was long enough.
It was long enough.
If they had a primary...
It's not that they didn't have time to introduce. They met someone and they didn't like them.
If they had a primary, they wouldn't have picked her. And if they had, she would have been able to rough out those edges that then she basically has to start from scratch with a campaign team she didn't hire that didn't like her, right? It was his team.
People, Bill Maher isn't holding back now that he's back. In a recent dramatic episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, when Maher was up against some very woke guests, things spiraled completely out of hand. Let me assure you, Maher thoroughly dissects their arguments, exposing the fallacies in their logic, especially in relation to Democratic decision-making, election integrity, and, yes, Kamala Harris's political career. They seem incapable of foreseeing this.
I also think everything the candidates, especially the Democrats, do to get voters annoys them. The constant texting. Did you get the texts like from Tim Walz every 5 minutes and like always begging for money and knocking on doors? And we've got people knocking on doors. People don't want knocking on your door. Who in this day and age wants someone knocking on? Kids don't even like it when a phone call. That's like too much of a invasion of their privacy, which they don't care about. Who might emerge as the strongest Democratic opposition leader in the next Trump era? Oh, well, that's a good question. I mean, like Adam Schiff, he won right big. And
he won big. I like Wes Moore.
Wes Moore's fantastic. He's in Maryland.
Yep.
But who's going to be the one? Gavin Newsom, we have here in this state. He's already like called the legislature to. Trump hasn't done anything yet, but I understand the.
This was the problem. There was a 2014 study that showed that Fortune 500 companies were more likely to pick a female CEO if the company was struggling, basically setting women up for the big job, but to also fail. If they did well, fine. But if they failed, like, look, we have a female CEO while failing. And that's what I feel like they did to Kamala Harris. When Biden refused to step aside and not run again, he was supposed to be that bridge. He backed off on that promise due to arrogance.
Maher's sharp critique holds back nothing, including the tension. It isn't artificial. Now, if you want to analyze the current political nonsense, wait. Select subscribe if you enjoy content that is unconventional and honest. I'll wait. Go ahead. All right. Welcome aboard. As we dive deeper into this contentious debate, it's clear that Bill Maher is making a point that people will find compelling. If you thought the introduction was noteworthy, you haven't seen anything yet. Maher challenged his intelligent guests to examine their own contradictions regarding the political system and election integrity with his usual candor. Now, let's set the scene. When one of the guests, practically bursting with confidence, claimed that Democratic choices, including backing Kamala Harris, were flawless, a heated back and forth ensued. Maher, who never backs down, jumped on this assertion. He inquired, "Wait, are we really going to act as though these choices were perfect?" He pointed out that Harris's campaign was frequently criticized, not just by the opposition, but even by members of her own party.
It's a small dollar donor didn't make $20 billion. No.
A lot of it.
Some of it, yeah.
And they represent about 2% of our country.
There's a few special PACs in there that saw $100 million plus.
Those are bad too.
I think you can believe that you could have shorter elections in America, but it's not like we don't know. In Britain, for instance, when you have a short election, it's not like you don't know who the leader of the party is for months and years before that.
But you're either the person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out, or in a week. Did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week to make a decision? No. Yeah, people.
How are you
ridiculous. We just get sicker of them.
What? So
how are you going to tell people they can't talk about politics?
What?
How with free speech that I know you love?
Yeah.
How are you going to limit people's ability to run for office?
I'm not limiting. We're not making a law.
Maher continued, incidentally. Remember, her first campaign was, to put it kindly, a total failure. There was something electrifying about Maher addressing the elephant in the room, the issue of election integrity. For years, conservatives have been attacked for bringing it up. Meanwhile, Maher took the opposite stance, arguing that these progressive speakers were making the same mistakes while conveniently ignoring their own role in fostering division. The irony. Tension in the studio suddenly escalated. It seemed as though they were demanding honesty while simultaneously engaging in the same blame game. Maher brought up Kamala Harris's inconsistent media presence at the perfect moment. He noted that people search daily for the identity of the true leader of the White House. "I mean, it's amazing," he remarked. His guests did their best to respond, insisting that the democratic process was simply misunderstood. Maher refuted that idea, arguing that if a plan isn't clear to the average voter, then it isn't a strategy at all. Really? How could anyone miss that? When the discussion shifted to Democratic campaign tactics, the real stinger was revealed. Maher capitalized on this, criticizing modern campaigns for constantly calling, texting, and otherwise pestering voters. Who wants someone knocking on their door, pleading for donations and votes? He asked. The audience? They nodded in agreement, murmuring, "Yes, Maher, exactly." Regarding the broader implications, Maher's guests argued that Harris's appointment was a watershed moment and a necessary shift. "You know," Maher countered, "if the only reason she was chosen was because of her gender or race rather than merit, isn't the party doing exactly what it accuses others of?" The studio fell silent. The tension was thick. Maher's critique was gut-punching and unmistakable. The most shocking part? His assertion that the Democratic Party needs careful scrutiny, serving as a wake-up call to reassess their approach. "They've had all this time," he said plainly, but it seems like they put Kamala up there just to watch. Her struggle. When his guests realized the debate wasn't going in their favor, they attempted to shift the narrative to the standard blame the conservatives storyline. But Maher wouldn't accept it. "Do you really think conservatives are the only problem?" he asked. His response? "No way." The cognitive dissonance was incredible. From blind party loyalty to relentless media cycles, Maher explained how the political landscape itself fuels these issues. Finally, to address the chaos, the guests proposed stricter government oversight. And Maher's take? "Naturally, we should take charge of everything, but when will domestic accountability start?" After yet another heated debate on political accountability, or the lack thereof, the audience seemed to settle. Maher has a way of making you rethink everything you've assumed. His clear analysis of his guests' arguments highlights the absurdity of today's frequently discussed political discourse. We're left wondering, how much better could things be if more people were as honest as Maher? How do you feel about Maher's debate with these progressive guests? Do Democrats truly achieve their stated goals, or do they fall short? So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.